Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Popcorn and Coffee Table Talk. I'm your host, Jesse, and with me, as always, is Jay Hazel. How are you?
Good. How you guys doing today?
You ready to jump right into what we have today?
Yeah. Yep.
I think we're going to start with Sundance.
Yeah. So yeah, this past weekend we got to experience the Sundance Film Festival for the first time.
Yeah.
Not live, obviously, but we were able to watch a couple movies online. They offer the online tickets now, so it was a really cool experience, and being able to come over and just have that time to watch the films and kind of talk about them a little bit afterwards.
What'd you? Okay, so the first one we watched was bright and early in the morning.
Yeah, Emergency.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And that was directed by shoot, I was gonna have this looked up and I forgot.
I don't remember either one of them, honestly, because we watched Emergency in the morning, and then it was like 10 o'clock at night. We watched
You Won't Be Alone.
You Won't Be Alone. Yeah. I'm trying to think of
Emergency was directed by Carrie Williams.
That's right.
Yeah. Which was a
Amazon Studios movie, I think. Amazon backed it.
Yeah.
And you could tell.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The film quality was amazing.
It had money behind it. You could tell.
It was cool though. It was a short film that he did a couple of years ago at Sundance, and then he was able to direct that and do a feature film. And it was comedy, drama. I give it probably 8 stars out of 10. That's what I did on IMDb. I don't.
Yeah.
But
it was okay. The only critique I would give it, the only major critique, is that it was maybe a little too long. It kind of drug towards the 3/4 mark,
Yeah.
And there was some stuff in there that was like, okay, maybe cut each of those scenes down a few minutes and cut out 8 or 10 minutes of the movie, and it would have been just as good, because it was a decent film. So
yeah,
that was an enjoyable watch. The second one, on the other hand, was far too long, and I think it was even shorter. You Won't Be Alone. Whoa. It was interesting.
I'm glad we weren't alone watching that, because it was more enjoyable to watch and make fun of it than anything. If I was alone watching it, it
was a little too artsy for my taste. It was trying to say a lot, but it really wasn't saying a whole lot at all, honestly. There was something deep down in it that I really enjoyed, the fact that it's a story about witches that can like move through people and different things, and experiencing life from that perspective, and that there was an interesting premise. I just don't think it came across on screen the way that the director wanted it to.
No, and it was a foreign film, so you've got the video quality was pretty rough. It was really grainy, I felt, watching it.
Yeah, it was a focus film.
Yeah. And the dialogue in it was really bad as well.
Dialogue was interesting.
Even though it was all subtitled, it was really tough to like. If it was in English, it would sound like you're speaking gibberish. It was pretty rough.
It was trying to be high concept poetry type dialogue, and it just wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
Yeah. But yeah,
it was enjoyable. It was enjoyable, and from the standpoint of we were watching it as a group online with who knows however many people. I don't regret purchasing the ticket to see it by any means, because it was an experience nonetheless.
Yeah,
it was an interesting experience, but it was an experience.
Yeah, I look forward to doing it again next year, and in future years to come. I think we'll probably continue it and maybe do some more movies. And Sundance is actually still going on right now. It's this whole week, so.
Oh yeah.
They'll have their award winners out.
Ton of movie. Ton. I wish we could have watched more than just 2.
Yeah.
But we have day jobs.
Yeah. So.
Anyways, on to other things.
Yeah. So it's Wednesday, which means the Book of Boba Fett drops. New episode every Wednesday. 5. Yeah.
Chapter 5 of 7. So it is legitimately almost over.
And we got well, go ahead.
Question before we actually talk about the episode. Do you think this series is going to end on a cliffhanger?
Oof, with 7 episodes and we're 5 in, it's a big possibility.
And I only say that because, and excuse me, people, I'm still under the weather. So if I cough, this is unedited and I can't help it. Excuse me. I say that for the very reason that what you were about to say before spoiling it. Spoilers ahead for the Book of Boba Fett Chapter 5. If you've been with us this far, you already know we're spoiling this. Go ahead, say it. What you were just about to say.
I forgot what I was about to say.
5th episode of Boba Fett, and
it didn't propel the story anymore.
There was no Boba Fett.
No, none.
No Boba Fett. And that's what makes me think it's going to end on a cliffhanger. With only having 2 episodes left, you took this entire episode to go on this side quest that was irrelevant to Boba Fett's story. Mm-hmm. Interesting nonetheless, and I would still argue probably the best episode of the entire series.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed it.
Is really not high praise of the Boba Fett series by any means, because as stated, there was no Boba Fett in this.
Yeah, it's sad when a filler episode is the best episode of the series.
And it was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
So, and you could tell, mm-hmm. And I could tell like by watching it was her directorial, but you could tell it was directed by somebody who hadn't directed one in this series yet. And visually, they wanted to bring over that Mandalorian feel, and it worked. Well, because she did a few episodes over there.
Yeah. And I mean, this episode, spoiler, had the Mandalorian. It was about the Mandalorian.
Oh, we didn't say that, did we?
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
It was titled The Return of the Mandalorian, which I think it was our last week. I said, what did I say? Boba Fett's going to get the Mandalorian. I called it.
Of course he is. Of course he was.
But
now he has a Wookiee and the Mandalorian.
Yeah, he's building a army to do his dirty work for him, because that opening scene when the Mandalorian walks into that slaughterhouse, and you can just tell like he's so much more gritty than Boba Fett is right now.
Oh yeah. And honestly, and that's what sucks, because to me, that's what I want to see from Boba Fett is an intensity. And whether you're killing people or not, an intensity nonetheless.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the Mandalorian necessarily wants to kill people either. I don't think that he enjoys that. I think he sees it as a byproduct of the job that he does, and he's willing to if he has to. But he wanted that guy to just go with him.
Right. Yeah.
At the beginning. And it was very reminiscent of the very first episode of Mandalorian. And so yeah, this just to break down the episode, I guess the episode is just about him doing his side hustle, just doing the Mandalorian stuff. He goes and meets with the head Mandalorian woman, gladiator woman, and talks to her for a bit. There's a whole conquest there. We can talk about that in a minute. Ends up leaving there to go back to one of the planets. And I don't remember that woman from the series. I didn't finish all of Mandalorian season 2 though. So she may have been around and I just don't remember.
Oh yeah, she was pretty steady in the second season. So
there you go. So he goes to get a ship from her, and then the rest of the series pretty much sits there.
Yeah. There was a lot of cool things they brought out in this episode. I was really just giving us, which I'm fine. I was fine with this episode and kind of us showing where, if they're going to bring the Mandalorian in, I'm fine with them using an episode to kind of show us where he's at right now. Because I care far more about that character than I do Boba Fett.
Oh yeah.
So
at this point,
to see him after season 2 and see kind of what he's up to and doing, and he just went back to bounty hunting. He's still doing his thing, and
this is the way.
Yeah. But what did you think of the ship that the lady brought out that revealed to replace his?
Oh, I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, before you even get to that, what did you think about the whole? Okay, so he goes and collects that bounty. He's trying to find whatever remaining Mandalorian left, because I'm assuming, excuse me, again, at the end of season 2, they help him in what he was doing, and a bunch of them get killed doing it. And then he's got that blade which is pretty much a lightsaber dagger,
Yeah.
and he sucks at using it because he cut himself in that one fight scene, which was which was really interesting. Like the only time he got hurt was of his own doing, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And then he goes and finds the woman and the remaining meathead Mandalorian that's left, that big dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was interesting that they like, he's like helping them out and stuff. But that guy, that Mandalorian meathead dude that you're talking about, his ancestors, I guess, were the ones that forged that sword. And so he felt like he was entitled to it.
Did the Mandalorian series, and again, you just have to refresh my memory because I don't remember, did they not like him because he wasn't one of them? I thought they accepted him, but this dude definitely didn't like him because he wasn't born a Mandalorian.
Right. Yeah. He was
taken in by them. Yeah.
Right.
And raised in their way.
Yeah.
But he seemed to have a pretty dead set opinion that he was lesser than.
I think that he just wanted the sword. I think that's all it came down to. Although the female Mandalorian character, she seemed fine with them just trying to kill each other for it. And I was just like, really? Like,
I mean, she's definitely stopped it before Mandalorian was definitely going to end him.
Yeah.
She stopped it there. Why she chose to use that moment to everything all right?
Yeah, sorry about that. Our dishwasher is like running. It's draining, so it's probably going to show up on the video. That sucks. But
I can't hear anything.
Okay, that's good.
Regardless, she chose to use that moment to ask him a super random question.
Yeah.
That was going to exile him, which is where the story needed him to go, you know. But I was just like, to me, that was the only point in the episode where I was like, okay, this is forced a little bit because I know where the series needs Mando to go. So they had to have this happen. I don't see why it had to happen. I don't know why he couldn't just still been one of them and gone and done whatever he wanted to do. But she had to force in there, have you ever taken your helmet off? Like just a random question at the end of that fight to be like, and then of course he's got integrity, he has character, so he's gonna answer truthfully. And he could have just lied, and then she'd have been like, cool, you're both fine. But it had to happen at that moment just so that he could be exiled from the group.
Right.
He didn't really seem that upset by it.
No, I don't think he really wanted to stay there either, but I think he felt like he had to as a member of the guild, the Mandalorian Guild. So he felt more obligated to stay with them and help them rebuild. Which I'd like to say that whole like space strip thing was really cool. Like they had that city on that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. It did, like, she could have asked him that question at any other moment.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, she didn't want to until he was going to kill the only other Mandalorian that was there at that moment.
And she let him keep the blade anyway, even though he was exiled.
Yeah. Well, that's because in season 2 of The Mandalorian, they talk about whoever kills or defeats the person who has that blade gets to keep it. Because I believe it was Finnick one. No, who was it? There was another character, and it may have been Finnick or it might have been somebody else. It was somebody else. Do you remember the group of like other 3 Mandalorians that weren't really Mandalorians, but they had the armor and stuff from season 2?
No.
You didn't get that? That one lady in there wanted that sword. Like she wanted to kill Moff Gideon for the sword. He ended up defeating him in battle and took the sword. So technically it was his sword. So that's why he has it.
Which is fine. And like you had already said, another thing on top of building his character, which we already enjoy, another thing that I really liked that it did was just world building. Like you said, just seeing that city and like him getting on that public transport and they're like, we need you to turn in all your weapons. And he's like, but it's part of my religion. And the robot's like, I don't care. Like, this is the rules.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And so he did it. And in my mind, I'm like, somebody's going to steal all his stuff. And then he's going to have to go get, but no, it was literally just like, this is the world. He has to do it. And then he got it back after he was all done traveling. The little girl in front of him, the little, whatever those are, Greedo things.
Yeah.
I don't know what it actually is.
I don't either.
Just looking at him and I'm like, it feels real, you know? I can relate to these pieces of this universe. Right. That actually, it's an alien, and I don't care that it's an alien, but I feel like I can relate to it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I love it. Like, even later on, there's a scene when she's showing him that ship, and she's like showing him all the parts, and then she's like, oh, here's a nest of some little creature. And she's like, let's not disturb the nest. Yeah. I'm just like, that just feels so real, you know? Yeah. And this episode had a lot of CGI creatures in it that looked really, really good. It didn't look like the Fett family CGI. They looked like real creatures, and it was cool. Yeah. Yeah, they had the one morning they woke up on, I think it was Tatooine. They had that like dragon rooster. It was like crowing. Yeah. He goes and meets that woman to get a new ship. But again, she's an established character. I hadn't seen her before because I hadn't seen most of season 2. She felt established, you know, even though I hadn't seen her before. I was like, okay, I could follow it pretty easily. And she's building him that, you know, the Naboo starfighter. Yeah, which is legit. I know. Legit. I knew what it was right away too. Well, okay, I take it back. When I first glanced, I was like, oh my gosh, it's a pod racer. But I was like, why does he need a pod racer? I thought the same thing. And then I was like, wait a second. That's Anakin's Naboo starfighter. I don't think it was Anakin's, but it was a Naboo starfighter. I like that that's what they gave him too, because I was like, what's the practicality of this for him? Doesn't make much sense, you know. He lives on it. Right. His other ship, he lived on it. That was his home, you know. But I like the direction they're taking the Mandalorian's character now, to where now it's just his car, pretty much. Can I have, my nose is... Okay, go tell Mom. It's just a vehicle for him now. So he's moving from place to place, and he's gonna find somewhere that he calls home, and then he just, because his character is transitioning from what it was, you know. Yeah. So I think that's really cool. And I could see, because if he's going to continue to bounty hunt, which I kind of think they're going to continue him doing that. Like, that's just, he enjoys it. It's kind of, you know, I think season 3 of The Mandalorian, he's going to continue that. He's going to need a ship that he can actually transfer his guys. I think I could see at the end of the season or next season, probably this one, because Mandalorian comes out next year or later this year, I think season 3. I see Boba Fett giving him his ship. I was thinking the same thing. Which would be really cool, because I love that ship. That's like one of the greatest ships in all the Star Wars universe. So practically, I think it's weird, but yeah, okay. But so, yeah, I mean, all in all, it was just about world building for me and character building for the Mandalorian, which I thought was awesome. I knew it was going to end with Fennec's character coming and wanting to talk to him about a job. I knew that was coming. Yeah. Paid off well. What do you think about his trip in the starfighter? His what? His just trial trip he took. Honestly, I thought it was gonna crash and just burn. I expected it to like blow up. That's fine. But no, it was cool. I liked him. Like, I love the fact that they took him through Tatooine and he was like riding that. He was flying through the pod race track course, and you see like all the stuff from episode 1. It's so subtle but so good. Yeah. They're not beating you with anything, but it's just like, if you know, you know. Yeah. Yeah. Which is the best kind of nostalgia. It doesn't have to be smack you across the face, but we've seen that canyon before. You know what I mean? So it's like, you've seen that canyon, you know that canyon. We don't have to give it this special name of what this canyon is, you know, but it's there. And we're like, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. I like the nod, the interaction with the two rebel police officers, whatever you want to call them. Because from back in season 2, they had met the older one. He knew his voice. He's like, you sound familiar.
Okay.
And so he's, because they had met up, he had like saved them from something else in the season 2.
But they wanted to arrest him.
Yeah, the younger one did. They were like, okay, you have no, like, there was nothing on his ship because they just built it. He didn't have time to register it. And he's like, just let me go. I
love that too. Again, it's world building. Like, okay, they still have some form of like a driver's license or registration. You can't just make one and then just go fly it about the galaxy. Like, to some extent, you have to register your vehicle. And it's just like,
yeah. Is
it necessary? No, but I'm like, okay, that makes this interaction that much more humorous. You know what I mean? And then him just jetting off. He's like, well, I'm done answering questions. And he just leaves.
He's the younger one's like, you gonna go after him? He's like, do you want to go back and do paperwork all day?
Excuse me. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, it was a great, great filler episode. It was a good episode just to kind of see where the Mandalorian's at, because that's the series that they want to stick with, and I think we'll probably see the Mandalorian throughout some of the other series. Maybe not the Obi-Wan series, just because that's going to take place before the Mandalorian. But the Osaka series, I think we'll see the Mandalorian that series and there and stuff. And
well, it's just one of those things, and this is what sucks for me, because that episode is what I wanted Boba Fett, the book of Boba Fett, to be about. You know what I mean? And we're not getting any of that from Boba Fett at all.
Right.
You know, we've gotten a lot of soul searching and boring stuff. And none of it's grand. None of it is on any sort of scale larger than, you know, dirt. And his character is so bland, when the character of the Mandalorian is so rich and so deep, and there's a lot that they can play with.
Yeah.
They've really pigeonholed Boba Fett to a point where I think he's boring. I just think he's boring.
Yeah.
He's not doing anything.
And I wonder if part of that is because the guy that plays Boba Fett's kind of dull. Like, he's not even a good actor, I wouldn't say. And I think that because the Mandalorian, and neither is Pedro Pascal, I don't think he's great by any means, but 95% of the Mandalorian, he's got his helmet on. So you don't see that. Like, he's not acting as himself. He's just got to be the Mandalorian. And Boba Fett, you see his face the whole time. He doesn't have his helmet on. So I think I think the actor itself is it has a big to do with, like, why it's dull, why the series is dull and stuff, and why it's just boring.
I just think they wrote his character in such a way where there's so much inner conflict with him, inner conflict that they're not talking about. It's just, we're supposed to expect it. Like, he's supposed to be taking over for the crime lord, but he also wants to be a good man. So it's just like, okay, is he trying to be a sheriff or is he trying to be a crime lord? Because I see him trying to be like, I'm the new sheriff in town, and he's got spurs on his boots, and, you know, because he's doing good, but he's trying to be the biggest bad guy in the area. And it's just, the conflict there doesn't work to a point where you're like, okay, well, you're honestly not either one. You know, you're just kind of a bystander in everything that's going on.
Right.
And he's just not intriguing. And it's like you said, I think it would be better if he had his helmet on, because it would be no different. And at least if he just had his helmet on the whole time, he would at least appear more menacing. Because like you said, Pedro Pascal in The Mandalorian, he's not doing anything extravagant acting wise. It's all being conveyed in the story that's being told. You know, it has to be done in how they're writing the story. And the story that they've written for Boba Fett's character is just nothing.
Yeah.
If we didn't know, we wouldn't care just as much as we don't care having seen it. But what Mandalorian is doing, I do care about. Like, where is he going? What's he got going? He wants to go back and see Grogu, and he's not supposed to.
Right.
And I'm like, that I want to go watch.
Right.
He made him a present. It's pretty much his dad,
Yeah.
and he wants to go see his son. And
Yeah.
even that scene when he said, I want to go see Grogu, and she said, well, they're training the Jedi to devoid
Not have it.
themselves of human emotion. He goes, that's completely opposite of what we are, where family
Right.
is everything. And he's like, I don't see why you would want to get rid of this, which is truly revealing an inner flaw of the Jedi. It's that
Mhm.
the fact that the Jedi are like, no, you're not allowed to have any relationships is the reason that you got Darth Vader.
Right.
Truthfully.
Yeah.
So it's revealing flaws in the overarching Star Wars universe story. And it's just like this, there's rich stuff here. There's nothing rich in the Boba Fett series.
Yeah.
Outside of the fact that we got another Rancor. There's nothing rich.
Yeah. And that's like, I would say that's the only flaw I see with this episode is that it did nothing to propel the Boba Fett series forward at all.
Didn't.
Nothing.
No,
like they could have
great episode, but it was an episode that it just belonged somewhere else. Like,
yeah. They could have, and I don't, not that I wanted them to, but this was a Mandalorian episode.
Yeah.
It wasn't, and they could have easily just taken, if they needed to, they could have taken 20 minutes to give us an update on the Mandalorian, where he's at, what's he doing, and then had him meet Boba Fett, like had Finnick come to him, then take him to Boba Fett, and then them like have some interaction there.
That's what the next episode is going to be now.
I know. That's going to be the whole episode, is them two getting reacquainted and trying to figure out how to fight the bad guys.
Yeah. And they're going to introduce more characters. And then the last episode then will be the fight. And it'll be bland. Like, I can already see, like, that last episode is supposed to be the most epic one where everybody's fighting, or it's going to end in them diplomatically ending it and no fighting. All options sound boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because even if it is a fight, you're giving us that in one 40-minute episode, and then it's going to be over.
Yeah. Here's their best bet. And it's not going to make this series any better. I'll never watch this series again.
I'll watch this episode again.
Yeah, this episode, but the rest of the series, no. But here's their best bet. Here's what they're going to do. What their best bet would do for Boba Fett's character, if they want to continue with that, is they end the season on a cliffhanger, like you said. And then once the Mandalorian comes around, he stays on Tatooine and works with Boba Fett. And then the Mandalorian kind of brings back in that whole conflict that they're in. And that is propelling the Mandalorian season 3 then. So season 3 of the Mandalorian is going to be him helping Boba Fett establish his authority on Tatooine.
Would definitely be better off putting Boba Fett back in the Mandalorian series than bringing the Mandalorian to Boba Fett series, because there's just no ground for Boba Fett's story at this point. Yeah. Unless you continue it. But again, this is what I've said. What they should have done the entire time was not bring back this guy in a major role. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. The guy who plays Boba.
Yeah.
And cast a younger actor who plays him in his early 20s, being a bounty hunter, and just show us another version of the Mandalorian, essentially, but with a known character that we already know and recognize, which is Boba Fett, and give us what he's doing prior to A New Hope. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
To give that character more credence when it comes to what he did in the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm. And that's what originally I thought they were going to do.
That's what they should have done.
That's what they're going to do with Obi-Wan. You're going to get,
hopefully.
Well, if they're bringing Ewan McGregor back, that's what they're going to do. It's going to take place after episode 3 and before A New Hope. So he's going to be young, probably middle-aged. He's not going to be old. He's not going to be Alec Guinness.
Somewhere in there. But I mean, this series, unfortunately, has given me pause for the Obi-Wan series. Where I'm like,
really?
Oh no. Oh yeah. It's made me like, if there's one character I don't want to see them destroy, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi. But I always out of the prequel trilogy, he was one of my favorite characters throughout the whole thing anyway, because he was the only thing that was consistent.
Yeah, you were a big Obi-Wan fan.
So it's just like, oh, what are you guys gonna do? Because it's all in the story that they tell.
Yeah.
And if they tell a bad story, no matter how good the character is, it's gonna suck. This series is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Because I would argue 5 episodes into a 7-episode series, this is bad. It's bad.
Yeah. The series is a flop. I would.
And maybe they'll Walking Dead this thing and just kill us with a finale, because that's what Walking Dead always did. Like, man, sludge through 11 episodes just to get to that 13th one. And you're like, all right, you got me for another season.
Yeah, you sludge through it, but even the episodes themselves there was good dialogue. There was good interaction between the characters. There's not great dialogue in here.
There is nothing memorable about it.
No.
I can't think outside of, okay, you gave us a cool new Wookiee character. I'm always down for new Wookiee stuff,
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I think after the series is over, we got 2 episodes left. Maybe we'll give it a official rating, what we think it is.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not great.
Yeah.
Not great. It's not great, Cotton.
It's not great when this episode showed how great something could actually be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anything else? Any other thoughts?
Nope, that's all I got. So
yeah, I can't think of anything either. Although, the one thing I was going to mention that I didn't was the woman. She was always going to the Jawas to get stuff from.
no.
And then she was talking about having a relationship with a Jawa. And she said that in front of the other 2 Jawas. And then they said something. And she goes, no, not right now. I'm working on me. So that Jawa literally just hit on her right then and there.
Yeah.
That was not, and then she was like so hairy. And I'm just like, this is not a side of Star Wars that I thought I needed, but I kind of did need it. Like, I don't know what about it was so funny.
I was gonna say there was the one after he gets back in the ship, she goes, so how was it? And he goes, wizard.
Oh, yeah.
That's just...
it's the little things in the world building that were really well done in this episode.
Yeah.
But anywho,
yeah.
And that's it. That's all for today, guys. Thank you for listening to our thoughts on this mediocre at best series right now. Please leave us a comment, tell us what you think. Maybe we're wrong, maybe we're missing it. You have to let us know for me to know, because I don't see it. Where can they find us?
Go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. Google, Spotify, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Please leave us reviews on Apple though, and comments, and give us 1 through 5 stars, whatever you want to give us, if you enjoy our content, so we can continue to keep putting this content out. That's the only way it's going to happen. Check us out on Instagram. DM us over there, and we can we'll respond to you. And Facebook, Popcorn and Coffee. Check us out and let us know what you think. And remember, if you date a Jawa, they're pretty hairy. So
we do this because we like to talk to people. We like to talk to each other about movies and now series. So please do hit us up, because we love to get in conversation with other people along the same lines. And ditto what he said.
Bye.
Bye.